Welcome back to the Off the Woodwork Podcast, or as I like to call it, has Matt actually done his bed today? And the answer is
he has.
No,
it's done a bit. It's
no
done a
cats,
bit.
though.
Yeah,
It's
there
done
are
a
no
bit.
cats.
It's better than it was last week.
I'm hoping
Work
the
in
cats
progress.
kind of make the way in at some stage. But I mean, yeah, it's not great. But anyway, as always, I'm Matt Perry. I'm joined by Epsom's finest Stephen Hall, and he is so horny. So horny. It's Anthony Milne from Glasgow. How are we, lads?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh.
I'm just going to leave the call. Right, crack on.
Oh, sorry.
Crack on.
I couldn't help
Crack
myself.
on.
I couldn't help myself. Me and Stephen he messaged me last night saying you've got to try and mention something to add.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
For context, he liked an OnlyFans model's tweet, so we've kind of been bullying about it. So
Yeah. And that's
She's
pretty much what it
she's a YouTuber's first, Stephen. Don't judge her for her clothes off.
is. Hey, wasn't it?
well, you certainly did. Hey.
Oh, no. And on that note, we are going to go through the latest roundup of the Premier League from the last week. Let's see. There's been some results that you would just assume were fine. Chelsea beating Newcastle, bog standard. United beating West Brom, bog standard. Everton beating Fulham, bog standard, even though Fulham kind of came back a bit in that game. But any games that stood out to you over the weekend?
It was a pretty back to normal sort of standard results.
Brighton beating Villa surprised me. I know, Stephen, you did back Brighton to win, but
The one time it actually paid off.
I forgot. We have to do the roundup of our predictions.
Yeah, so do you want to know?
Yeah, I want to know. Because I feel like I've got two results in the bag.
So in last place with 4 points this week, Stephen Hall.
Oh, interesting.
Being
Yeah, I saw that
spicy
one
isn't
coming.
always best.
I
In
thought
second place with 9 points is myself. And
What's this?
in first place with 12 points,
12.
Jesus
because
I
Matt, you got the
think
Chelsea score right, you got
As
the
always.
Burnley score right,
Yep.
and you got the Wolves and Southampton score right. 1-1.
Oh, mad. I completely forgot that.
I got the West Ham score right, and I'm the only one that backed Liverpool.
3 correct results. Oh, big
But
week
yeah,
for me.
you had a very good week. Stephen, not so much. You had a lot where you just seemed to have gone the wrong way entirely compared to what the result was.
I think that was kind of the point. I thought it was going to be a weird week, but no. We seemed to switch between a weird week and a normal week.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like you got Everton, Fulham, Liverpool, Leicester. Just
No, I put
both
Leicester
wrong.
to win that game.
3. That's what I mean. You got it wrong
Yeah.
I
completely.
got a draw.
Just thought I'd like to remind you of that. Palace.
To be fair, the Everton Fulham game wasn't that far off. I said 2-2, so it wasn't that far off.
Yeah, you weren't far off. You got the right result for Leeds Arsenal, despite it being 0-0 instead. Yeah, just one of those weeks I think where you kind of either you back the right winner but not the right score, or you just got the wrong winner entirely. But it's one of those weeks. You know what I mean, everyone's got them. Matt gets them most weeks.
Yeah, I put all my chips on black and it didn't pay off. So.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with that because I knew I got 2 right. But yeah, 12 points. I mean, I'd argue that's even one of the highest amount of points someone's got in 1 week. So yeah.
Probably.
But post-lockdown fixtures, I think there was some where people were getting. I think I got 18 1 week then, but that was when there was more fixtures in a week. If you remember,
Fair,
teams were playing 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Whereas
I loved it.
right now it's like 1 week at a time. So actually, for 1 week at a time, with only one fixture for each team, probably.
It's been great. Now that pay-per-view's gone again, I just sat down pretty much all weekend, watched game after game. And
pay-per-view's gone. Thank God for that.
There were some good games. There were some bad games. Let's start, though, with Stephen, your choice.
Let's start with Liverpool. Let's get that one out of the way.
Let's get it out of the way. So Liverpool beat Leicester 3-0 in a game that me and Stephen and most people, to be honest, thought that Leicester were going to maybe turn up for. We're going to play quite well, but...
The thing is, Leicester went with the same formula they've used all season, which is soak up pressure, hit on the counter-attack.
I just lost my earphone.
And as we've seen this season, when teams have success against Liverpool, it's by pressing back against them and not sitting back. Because that's why Arsenal failed against Liverpool, because they sat back and tried to counter, and we've seen that just doesn't work against Liverpool. You're basically asking to be spanked if you try and do that.
Yeah, I was genuinely really, really disappointed with Leicester in that game. I
don't think Leicester's performance should take anything away from Liverpool, because Leicester are a side in form. Like I say, their tactics worked against Man City. They've worked against other teams. It's not the right tactic against Liverpool. And Liverpool looked good.
Well. Yeah, they played
Liverpool had just looked very good. Defensively, they looked pretty solid as well. Fabinho's back, thankfully. So it looks like going forwards, hopefully that means like Fabinho and Matip will be our centre-back pairing if they can both stay fit. Hopefully Trent and Henderson and Thiago are all back sooner rather than later.
I was wondering, because obviously Liverpool lost last night to Atalanta.
Yep.
Does that count as part of the home record or not?
No. It's a Premier League home record.
Okay, cool.
Not even domestic. It's just Premier League.
Just Premier League. Okay.
It's the same with Chelsea's massive home record from 2004 2008. That was just Premier League as well, if you remember.
Yeah. And who did we lose it to? Was it
us? Actually, it was us.
Oh, was you?
1-0 at Stamford Bridge.
I was thinking of what I was thinking of was Mourinho's home record at Chelsea, because obviously he had it going really well for him. And he lost it against Sunderland. I was at that game. We beat you in the Premier League to end your 84-game Premier League record. Yes, I believe.
And we're now at 60-something. I think we're at
64, Zulane?
I can't remember the exact number. That's going to look bad, but it's just I don't want to say the wrong number and look like an idiot.
Yeah, no, it's calm. Do you think Liverpool could beat it?
Yeah, I think they could. To be honest, like, obviously without any fans right now, if there's any time they'll drop it, I think now is a good time. But you saw Leicester, a team in form.
Well, I'm just saying, because Liverpool's going to be in Tier 2, I believe. They're going to be allowed 2,000 fans in the stadium?
Yeah, so basically fans are allowed back at London teams and Liverpool teams and nowhere else, which made a lot of fans unhappy. Especially because London... Well, no, because Liverpool
went you're going to be happy, though. Just gives them another excuse to not cover it up again.
If you remember, Liverpool went into a form of lockdown. It wasn't really lockdown, but they went into kind of like isolation before the national lockdown. So our number was dropping beforehand. They had kind of had their bad spell and come out of it, whereas Manchester arrived to it later. The rest of the nation arrived to it later. Yeah. So Liverpool getting fans back because our numbers lower isn't surprising. But London, where, let's be real, London is a place where it's very likely that it can spike constantly like that. I think it should have just been no fans for now until you can kind of get them back to most teams. Because right now you're looking at maybe 6-7 teams in the league having fans and the rest don't. Yeah. But yeah, so Liverpool lost to Atalanta last night 2-0. Wasn't a great performance from Liverpool, especially defensively.
Zero shots on target.
Yeah. If you look at the team, though, like what means we had Nico Williams at right back, who I really don't think is ready for. I like him. I think he is a good young player.
And the other Williams, the centre back, he looked really bad. No offense.
He's looked good in every game besides that, though. He's looked very good in every game besides that. Yeah. So, but Nico's not looked good for a while. He's not looked good this season. Curtis Jones is a youngster. I think he's ready for the first team in a way.
Oh, nice.
Like, obviously, he's not one of our starters yet, but I think he can fit into the first team. And it just works.
There he is. No, I know. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see the Liverpool game last night, but if I'm going by the game on the weekend against Leicester, I would still argue that Liverpool are favourites for the title, wouldn't you, Anthony?
And just to quickly mention, Atalanta, they beat Liverpool because they did the opposite of Leicester. They went at Liverpool and they put pressure on them and just ran at them.
Yeah, but the thing is, like I said, Liverpool weren't playing the strongest team.
No, they weren't.
And here's the thing. Liverpool have shown against Leicester that even without their strongest team, without Van Dijk, without Gomez, without Trent, without Thiago, Henderson, Salah, they can still play to a high level and still be a contender.
Yeah.
You know, just because they've lost Van Dijk, for the season does not mean their season's over. And once all the other... And Gomez, I don't know when Gomez is back, but he'll be out for a while as well. But with the rest of the players they've got, Diego Jota is looking like almost like a bargain at the price we got him for at this rate. You know, that's 7 goals in his last 6 games.
I think he's already won the most, the best, underrated, not underrated, but surprise player of the year. I don't really know who else could get that. I mean, maybe Bamford, but I think at the moment he's the surprise package of the year.
I mean, I'm looking
Ollie
at
Watkins, I might say in a way, and this is no disrespect to Ollie Watkins, but I didn't expect him to hit the ground running in the Premier League the way he has.
So Liverpool's next 3 games. I mean, if there was a time for players to be injured, it's right now, because the next 3 games are Brighton, Wolves, and the other one is Fulham. So you'd expect to get 9 points out of 9 out of them, wouldn't you?
Wolves is the only challenging one.
Wolves
I don't think Wolves have been. Yeah, but yeah, Brighton and Fulham, you expect points, but then that might be where they drop them.
Yeah.
But I don't. Trent was supposed to be a month, and he got injured just before the international break started, so he should be back sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Thiago is training. He's back in training, but he's not started yet, so he's probably a couple of weeks away. Salah's back. I don't know how long Henderson's injury is. Fabinho's already back, which is great.
Yeah.
So basically, Fabinho and Matip as a defensive pairing isn't awful. If you actually look at it compared to a lot of the top teams' defense right now, I would still take Matip and Fabinho as centre-backs over most. Over Man United's defence, truthfully. Over Man City's right now with the way they're playing. And also, like I say, as long as Alisson's fit, I'm still pretty confident in ours. Because if you look at the goals that Atalanta scored last night, while the defence was poor, you can't really blame Alisson for them.
No.
There's not much he could do for those 2 goals, especially the second goal.
Williams just completely wasn't marking who was it, Gosens, and he just had a free shot on goal.
Yeah, but like I say, once Van Dijk got injured, I kind of expected a Champions League to be a write-off for us, because even if we will get through our group. We're top of our group still. We've only lost 1 game. We've won 3. If we'd won last night, we would have qualified. So basically, we're 1-1 away from qualifying. I'm not concerned about that, but I don't expect us to go far, because against the top teams in Europe, to be honest, we still could. Don't get me wrong, we still could. We could show up, but I still think the league is I still think Liverpool are more than got a chance. Still favourites in my eyes, even though I'm biased. I know you think Chelsea, Matt, and to be honest, you're more than within your right to think that. But I'm just going off of experience.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If I was Liverpool, I would prioritise the league right now.
As long as Tottenham don't win the league, we're happy. Again, the thing is, Liverpool's games coming up, they're going to be playing teams like Newcastle. They're going to be playing teams like West Brom, Palace. A problem is with them teams is that they are the type of teams who will, if they're playing a top team, sit back and try and get them on.
That works for us.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So I really hope teams, especially Newcastle, because the way they played against Chelsea was so negative the other day. I really hope they just try and, go all out and take on.
Yeah. What? So I'm going to ask, because obviously, but me being a Liverpool fan, I have my opinions. Based on the game you saw at the weekend, because obviously neither of you had the most confidence in Liverpool getting a result from that game. Neither of you had them to win. And I don't know about you, Matt, but Stephen, you've not seemed to be as high on Liverpool as how their quality as they've been in past seasons. What are your thoughts now with regards to a team that is supposed to be contending right now, Leicester? The way Liverpool did kind of show up for that. What do you kind of expect to see from Liverpool going forward right now?
I definitely see them finishing either first or second. At the moment, I'm thinking probably actually they're probably going to finish second. Who's going to finish first, I don't know. But if they didn't have all their injuries, I'd probably say they're favourites. But it's not really their fault, is it? Players just going down injured, it's not really much you can do.
Yeah, and it's going to happen a lot this season as well due to the lack of preseason. Yeah. We've already seen it. But I think the one thing that's lucky is besides Van Dijk and Gomez, which
if Liverpool don't win the league this season, I don't think it's because they play bad per se. I think it's just they've just been unlucky with injuries.
What I will say though is I think Liverpool, despite their injuries, are doing better than Man City were last year. Because
Man City have no excuse for how bad they're doing right now.
No, but not even right now. Man City lost Laporte last year, right? Let's be real, that was really their major injury. Aguero was injured for a month or so at different points, but
he normally is.
The big thing was, Laporte's injured. That's why Man City lost. Liverpool is still playing relatively well after losing Van Dijk, who is better than Laporte. After losing Gomez, after losing Thiago, So I don't really like this kind of, the only reason Liverpool beat Man City last season was because Man City lost Laporte. But yeah, so on to that. While we move on to
Let's do it.
another team.
Yeah, let's go on to the team who started the best at the start of the season. They won again this weekend, but it was starting to look a bit more interesting come the end. Everton beat Fulham 3-2. I just want to touch on it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What are the expectations for Everton now? Because
Europa League, I think.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I think Europa League is good for them, and then they can build on it again and can try and push into the top 4.
Yeah. Because Fulham nearly came back at that game. They missed a penalty, obviously. Terrible penalty. What is it with Fulham and taking penalties? Like they don't fancy him, do they?
No. No. I do think Everton have got some really good pieces. That's such an American thing to say, because that's how Americans talk about the teams. They're like, pieces. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin is looking very good. James Rodriguez. As much as I don't like him, Richarlison is still somewhat good. Like Richarlison's hit and miss. Digna's a good left back.
Has a problem with Richarlison. He is hit and miss.
When Everton in general are just hit and miss.
Yeah, I suppose. We thought they'd beat Fulham comfortably, but yeah, I mean Fulham came back. Actually, surprisingly, Fulham looked much better when Loftus-Cheek came off the bench.
He looked good. He looked good.
He did look good. So it's interesting. But yeah, that's that one anyway. I just wanted to touch on it quickly. What other games would we like to talk about? Anthony, you eyeing any up?
I thought the natural segue from Anthony, I thought you just wanted us to move on to Man City. I thought that was the path he was trying to lead us down.
Yeah, I was talking about Man City being poor, so let's talk about Man City being poor.
Let's talk about Man City.
I'm gonna give you a quick stat, which I showed you guys earlier. But just before we talk about the performance against Tottenham, Man City have got the same amount of goals this season as Calvert-Lewin. They've got
that's bad.
They've got 12 less than Chelsea, 11 less than Tottenham and Liverpool. Can we all agree Gabriel Jesus is not the player to lead that front line?
No, he's like a Chicharito or someone. He'll come in and score goals off the bench, but I don't think he's the.
You mean
starter.
Chicharito?
Yeah. Javier Hernandez, Little P.
No, I know who he is. I thought you were talking about Pokemon for a second. Chicharito. I was like, what?
It was the same way about in Dzeko, wasn't it? Like, whenever he started, he didn't look that good, but he always was just that sort of super.
I never rated Edin Dzeko when he started.
You never rated Dzeko?
Not when he started for Man City. When he came off the bench, sure.
There are just certain players, like Paco Alcacer when he was at Dortmund, like, he was scoring so many goals as a substitute, they just refused to start him, like, because he was just...
But you always get players that are brilliant off the bench.
I'd argue Dzeko's the most underrated player in Premier League history. I thought he was class. I mean... Again, looking at this, so City obviously lost 2-0 to Tottenham. It was a game that was quite end-to-end at one stage, to be fair. But obviously Tottenham came out on top. They didn't look to be, but I mean, again, Tottenham. I mean, are we saying they're serious title contenders now?
I don't know.
The top 4.
The problem is with Tottenham and Chelsea, and I'm putting both teams in here right now because they weren't brilliant last season. Obviously, Chelsea were better than Tottenham last season, but neither team were like setting the league on fire. Both teams are doing well right now, but it's too early to tell because like a month ago we were talking about Everton because they were doing really well, and now we're not. And like Tottenham could go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak. Chelsea could go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak. Like both teams are looking good right now. If they can maintain this and don't slip up until after the winter fixture congestion period, then yeah. But right now they're both doing well. I just want to see where they go.
Yeah, I think luckily for Chelsea, we've qualified for the Champions League now. So
Yeah, that really will work in your favour.
That gives us a chance to rest players, and we're not in the cup.
But because Tottenham knocked you out.
So that's it gives us.
But you see what I mean, right? With regards to the fact that while both teams are playing well, they're still like Tottenham kind of got this new style and they're starting to click under Mourinho. Yeah. Chelsea have got a lot of new players who are now starting to click, but we haven't seen them do it over a long period of time yet. We haven't seen them do it when they've got to play twice in a week or
which is why I'm incredibly excited for Chelsea versus Tottenham on the weekend. It's going to be an interesting game.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that game might actually be one of those ones that we think will be better in our heads than it actually would be.
It's probably not going to be a high scoring game.
No, but
I think it's more. It's not necessarily that it'll be a good game, but it's an important game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it'll be one of the most interesting games.
Yeah. Who do we have? So with Tottenham, who is it right now that we are mainly focusing on with the praise? Who is the one or two players that have really been?
Kane. I've been really impressed with Kane. I think this is probably the best I've ever seen him. I mean, he's doing the Firmino role and actually scoring too. Like he's setting up and he's scoring. Which he's been amazing just as a facilitator and a goal scorer, which he hasn't really been before. I mean, he's mainly just been an out-and-out goal machine, but now the way he's like for that, I think it's the second goal. He got the ball from deep and passed it out to Lo Celso. It was brilliant. I've been really impressed with.
Son's also been a great player, but what else is new?
But that's mainly because Kane's been facilitating Son. Just how Firmino facilitates Liverpool's wing duo.
I think Son's one of the most, and I hate to say it because he's Tottenham, I think he's one of the most enjoyable players I've watched in the Premier League era.
Oh, yeah. I think there's always like one or two players that kind of with different points that are like players that, despite who they play for, no one dislikes. I mean, like N'Golo Kante. No matter who N'Golo Kante played for, no one dislikes N'Golo Kante.
Yeah.
It's the same with Son. I don't know anyone who like. They might not like want Tottenham to win, but I don't know anyone who actively goes, don't like Son, don't like the way he plays, don't like the fact he does it. Because like Harry Kane has died, like can dive, right? People aren't a massive fan of Harry Kane sometimes, you know.
And because he has a speech impediment, borderline.
The only English player that needs English subtitles. Raheem Sterling is very much disliked. Salah and Mane get disliked as well. But like Son is one player you don't see many people actively like hate.
Can't stand Salah. Greedy git. Yeah, no,
great player. I love Mohamed Salah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Son is good. Apart from when he got sent off against Chelsea, but I'll take it at a time.
No, but Son is one of those players. Like, remember when he injured Andre Gomez last season?
Yeah.
But it wasn't deliberate, and you could see how like disappointed himself and how upset he was with himself for hurting this guy.
Yeah.
You don't see that often. You'll see people apologize maybe behind the scenes, but Son was like on the field crying.
I think it's a product of East Asian cultures. That sort of responsibility is really drilled deep down. So I think he felt like deep responsibility and he felt really guilty. I think that's a massissive part of Korean/Japanese culture.
No, but we have seen players from that region of the world who aren't like that. I mean, like we've seen players like Didier Drogba as well. Didier Drogba was a player you hated to come up against, but lovely man, super responsible man.
The best.
You know, Drogba is one of my favorite like human beings in football. Like, he was a pain to play against.
Yeah, on his day.
Lovely man. And I think Son is somewhat similar in the fact that you don't want to come up against Son. Like whenever like. As Liverpool, we play Tottenham. I'm more worried about Son than Kane. At least when we had Van Dijk playing, because I know for a fact Van Dijk could handle Kane in the air and Van Dijk can muscle Kane off the ball. Son scares me more. But yeah, I think what do Man City have to do to fix their problems? Do we think? Because they've not been, and they've extended Guardiola. So besides a new manager or something. Let's look at the actual players on the field because managers get a lot of stick for how teams are playing when there's only so much a manager can do. The players have to be accountable as well. Okay,
so what problem is you say, they can spend more money. They spend so much money.
I'm not saying spend the money they're spending. I'm saying like players or like. So
I'm going to get the lineup from their game against Tottenham. And I'll just go through it and let's see who don't think is good enough. Who should be dropped? Okay, let's start. In goal, Ederson.
I think he's good enough. I think Ederson can be prone to mistakes, but I think he's still a very solid goalkeeping choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second best keeper in the league.
Back four. A lot of people have been saying, firstly, Kyle Walker, People have been saying he's been one of their best players so far this season.
Kyle Walker's been one of their best defensive players over the last 2 seasons. He's the only one that still like actively is putting the game and the result ahead of himself. The amount of goal line clearances and like, he has been very good.
He really does care, and he does put in a lot of effort when he plays.
Okay, looking at the rest of the back line then, Ruben Diaz.
He hasn't impressed me.
Yeah,
he hasn't impressed me, especially with the fee, but also he needs more time. You know what I mean? Like,
I reckon he's just going to be another Otamendi or who's the other one they had? Demikis. Do you remember him?
Demikis.
Didn't they also have? They had what's his name? I think he plays for Atletico Madrid now. Didn't they have Savage before he was good?
Yeah, they had Savage.
They had Savage, and he was pretty poor at Man City.
Not well known, put it that way.
Yeah. And Jerome Boateng used to play there as well, and he wasn't very good at Man City either.
And the other centre back, Laporte, just come back from injury, obviously.
He's been back longer now, though, hasn't he? He's been back since lockdown, hasn't he?
I suppose Nathan Ake's been kicked out now as well, isn't he? He's not getting a sniffy.
Well, he plays the same position as Laporte, so to me that makes sense.
Yeah, but then it just makes sense, why did Ake go to City if he just knew he was going to be a bench player? And then the other one who's looked pretty hit and miss is João Cancelo at left back.
Well, that's because he's not a left back.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's a right back.
He's not a left back. Like, for all the money they've spent on the defence, Man City refused to get a left back. They had Mendy 4 years ago.
Always bang average.
He was great until he got injured. Like, when he first started playing for Man City from Monaco, he was great. And then he got injured. He's just never been the same.
Looking at the midfield, the other one I'm not a massive fan of, or been that impressed by, is Rodri.
No, he's been bang average.
I think also that Rodri's role is one that doesn't get as much praise. Well, I think he has been poor for what you would hope from him, but I think his role and what he does is a role that does get overlooked quite a lot.
He's a Spanish John Obi Mikel. I mean, just and I know who I'd rather have.
You've just buried this man's career.
I haven't buried it. John Obi Mikel's a Chelsea legend. He was a bloody great player, Mikel, and very misunderstood. People used to think it's crap, but what he did.
Well, whenever I played Football Manager, he was always as a Chelsea, he was always the first player I sold.
That's just so disrespectful. Mikel was a great player. And then this is the thing. Okay, so the Man City next 5 from the starting 11: De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Gabriel Jesus, Torres. I mean, that's a pretty solid front five, isn't it? The
problem is that it's too attacking their team. I don't think their team's got the right balance.
Yeah, I can see that, to be fair.
I think City are going through the same problem that Barcelona are going through right now. It's just that their traditional core has just gotten old.
I'd say Man City are a couple of years behind where Barcelona are right now.
They're not as bad as Barcelona, but I think the main core that they've relied on for so long is just getting older.
Yeah, I think Man City are at a stage now where they have to positively act on it. Otherwise, they will end up where Barcelona are right now. I think De Bruyne is 29 now?
Yeah.
So he's still one you can rely on for a good 3 years, 4 years. Aguero's gone, I believe, at the end of this season. He said he was playing out the last of his contract and going back to Argentina. Ferran Torres, to me, the jury's still out as well. I don't think he's played long enough. I think Sterling is very hit and miss. I think Sterling when he's Sterling when he's good. But he wasn't great last season either. But the season before, he was incredible. I think Sterling's one of those players that when he's good, he's one of the best players in the league. When he's bad, he is just don't even play him.
Does Phil Foden need to be a starter?
I don't think. I think Phil Foden hasn't proven himself, and I don't say that in a negative way. I say that he hasn't been given enough time there, but also he's not actually went elsewhere.
City don't have that holding midfielder to take the pressure off like De Bruyne and Foden, because Fernandinho is like 35 now. He's past it. Rodri hasn't really stepped up to the plate to be that sort of player. They need that. They need like a Casemiro to be that holding midfielder who can just do all the dirty work and let Foden and De Bruyne do their creative stuff without having to worry about defending.
I also think Mahrez has become much better at City, but he's not brilliant right now. I think Bernardo Silva peaked that season where he won everything basically. He won I can't remember which one it was, but Portugal won an international trophy. I can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't the Euro. It was a few years after that. He won that.
UEFA Nations.
That was it. I think it was the Nations. Yeah, it was Nations. I think they beat Holland in the final. Maybe?
Yeah.
So like Bernardo Silva at that point was incredible, but I think they've pushed him back down the field now because he was a winger, and they've pushed him down the field so they can play Mahrez and Sterling as well. And I'm like, you're now just playing players actively in wrong positions. Like Cancelo is playing at left back. He's not left back. You've got Bernardo Silva playing in the midfield when he's a winger. It's like, either stop spending money on players you don't need, spend money on players you do need. You know, it was the same criticism I had of Chelsea before they signed Mendy. They'd spent a lot of money on attacking players, which wasn't the area of the field Chelsea needed to improve on. It was the defence and the goalkeeper. Then they signed Mendy. The defensive record has improved. I think Man City just seemed, they're like, oh, we should get Koulibaly. It's like, but we need a midfielder. No, Koulibaly. But we need an attacker because Aguero's going to go and Jesus is not going to. No, Koulibaly. And it's like,
Man City just need that really. They need a Fernandinho replacement. And Rodri was supposed to be that, but he isn't.
You're talking about Dzeko being the most underrated player in Premier League history. Fernandinho. No one realizes how good Fernandinho is until he's not playing.
Yeah, no, he's up there. Fernandinho has been good. So I mean,
who would you sign if you're Man City? Apart from Casemiro is not realistic. Who would you sign to put into that holding midfield role?
Realistically,
yeah.
Maybe even someone like Allen at Everton.
That would have been realistic. That would have been realistic. If he was a bit younger, Fitzel from Dortmund. Because I think he's 31 now, Fitzel.
Well, even Emre Can, you can put him in there.
He's not. In my opinion, he's not good enough. And also, he turned down moving to United out of respect. So I don't know if he goes to either.
Maybe they take
not really that. I don't know.
He's not really that same. Yeah,
he's not that still good. He's still a very good box-to-box midfielder. Ndidi.
Ndidi was the one I was thinking of. That's the one I was literally about to say. Actually, that's the kind of player they probably need, isn't it?
What about Calvin Phillips for a cheaper option?
He's not really that tack. He's more of a deep line playmaker than a traditional sort of defensive midfielder.
That's what I mean. Ndidi's only 23, I think.
Ndidi's actually much younger than I always seem to think.
Yeah. So he's only 23. So I mean, he's definitely going to move somewhere bigger at some stage.
Yeah. I mean, Leicester are at a point now where they can keep hold of their stars. They just can't sign big names yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Leicester haven't signed a big name. Like Madison wasn't a big name; he was a young player with high potential.
Danilo Pereira was a good player, but he wasn't like a international superstar. If you get what I mean. But he was not. I'm
trying to think of anyone else that comes to mind immediately for Man City who they could go for, and all the ones that come to mind immediately already play for top teams. Like Leon Goretzka plays at Bayern; he's not going anywhere.
I said Kimmich as well; he's not leaving Bayern.
Yeah, I think Kimmich is a one-club player. I don't think he's gone anywhere his whole career. I can't think of anyone else.
Off the top of my head, no.
Moving on to another team with very poor goal-scoring record recently, with regards to Man City, Arsenal. Aubameyang. What's happened to Aubameyang? Where's he gone?
He's just fallen off a cliff this season. I don't know what to say.
I mean, it's just kind of bog standard Arsenal that we've been used to over the last 15 years, isn't it? They just
they were playing well. They're still playing better than they have been when they've been bog standard under Wenger and Emery. I think Arteta is still the right man. But Aubameyang, like you see, he's disappeared after getting his contract extension, which is a shame because he is a great player. What do we think of the red card incident?
I mean, it's a clear red.
It was just uncalled for.
Stupid.
It was ridiculous.
It was foolish, Pepe.
You can't do it nowadays when you've got about 50 cameras and all of
To me, it was just a rookie mistake. Like, I don't mean that in like he shouldn't be punished. I mean that like, come on, you're going to get. It's just
dirty Leeds getting their provocation out. You know, it's what Leeds do.
Every team tries to wind up the other team.
Yeah,
I think Alioski is a bit of that sort of player, though. He loves to wind up the other players.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know, but everyone does that. Who was it?
That Leeds didn't go on to bloody win it.
Who was it? I read a story. I read a story about I can't remember if it was an attacker or a centre back, but I think it was Rio Ferdinand was marking like a really good attacker at the time.
Yeah.
and he was like trying to be super serious, and the attacker kept asking him stupid questions, and then when Ferdinand kind of stopped to like answer the question, the attacker would run off and get the ball. I can't remember who it was though, but basically, yeah, players always wind each other up.
Yeah.
Just Leeds are very good at it.
Did you watch the game, Leeds Arsenal?
Not
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't.
So it was a pretty crap game. I was a bit disappointed, even with Arsenal going down to 10 men. Leeds just their attacking wasn't that good. They had one player for them who kept doing these terrible balls into the box. That just none of them worked, and he just kept trying it over and over again. No, I think it's Koch or Koch.
Click?
No, Koch is Koch.
Koch is the centre back. Click is the midfielder, the Polish midfielder.
No, it's
no, but he can play
Koch.
Right back, can't he? He can play right back, can't he?
It's Koch.
Yeah. So he might have been playing right back.
Yeah, he was terrible. But yeah, I mean, he was playing centre back. But yeah, again, that Leeds team, I don't know where it goes.
What do we think of Leeds? I mean, it's like, they've not been setting the league on fire as a lot of people thought, but they haven't looked bad. I mean, they've not done a Wolves.
I think after that Liverpool game, we all sort of jumped on the hype train, and it's sort of come to a grinding halt.
But they still, like, if you look at it, Leeds, I do not think Leeds will be anywhere near relegation.
No, I think they're
that's
what
I mean. They are solidly safe. They are safe.
I think they're a kind of a Palace. I think they'll be inconsistent, but they'll be safe.
The difference is Leeds actually have some better players than Palace.
They're finished like 14th or something.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Palace have Eze, Zaha, obviously. I don't know.
Yeah, but they've got Benteke.
Yeah, they got Benteke.
But Leeds are weird. Like, I think like they have half of a good team almost. Like,
Do you guys remember when Benteke was considered one of the best strikers in the league?
Do you know what?
Before he went to Liverpool.
I'm genuinely telling you this. I remember watching him at Villa when they played Chelsea, and he was up front. He must have been offside in that game about 5, 6, 7 times, and I was thinking, this guy's proper naff.
Well, no, but he had good goal because Villa's whole thing was just head it into the box, he taps it in.
He had one good season.
He had 2. He had 2 in my memory.
He's an abysmal footballer.
And then we spent 32 million on him.
Yep.
Honestly, the funniest bit of that isn't even the fact we spent 32 million; it's the fact we got 25 for him from Palace.
Yeah, it was a better buy, Benteke or Andy Carroll.
See, I'm going to say Andy Carroll, and I think Andy Carroll was a player that was marred by injuries. If you remember him at Newcastle before Liverpool bought him, he was one of the top goal scorers that season.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool panic buys because the plan was always Suarez and Torres, and oh my god, that attack would have been so amazing. Just imagine an attack of Suarez and Torres at that stage.
Such a shame.
But Andy Carroll's brought in as a panic buy, so that's why they overpaid. He still had good moments at Liverpool in his first couple of seasons.
But could you argue Benteke was better just because of the sell-on value that you got from him?
We still got 20 million. I think we got 15, 20 million for Andy Carroll. And he hadn't played in about a year and a half when we sold him.
So coming back to Arsenal quick, they currently lie 12th place in the Premier League. They've only won 1 game in their last 5. Where do they stand at the moment coming the end of the season?
I still think Arsenal are top half of the table. I think. Where did I have them?
Oh yeah, I mean, you'd hope so.
Where did I have them
the whole season relies on Aubameyang finally waking up. I think.
Yeah, I think he is one who, how they do really depends on him. I have Arsenal finishing 5th, from when we did our league predictions.
I had them at 7th, I think.
But the thing is, like, the point total is 13, right?
Yeah.
They're 5 points behind you in 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, it's
so what I mean is they're not playing well right now. But until they've only won 1 of the last 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 games ago, Arsenal were doing very well. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's the thing I think we have to remember. It's not, even though it's now been a bit into the league, it's still very close points wise. You've not got big gaps between clubs yet. Like I say, between 13th, between 12th and 1st is 7 points.
As surprising as it sounds, I actually think the best part of Arsenal's team at the moment is their defence.
Leno's looked great, actually.
Yeah, Holding's pretty meh. Gabriel's he's quite highly rated at the moment, Gabriel.
I've been really impressed with Gabriel. I think he's looked pretty good.
But I think Arsenal have got a keeper who's actually in really good form right now.
I think it's the same with Arsenal. I just don't think their midfield's up to scratch.
I'm not going to lie, I haven't watched much of them with Arsenal, but how's Thomas Partey seem to be settling in?
So he didn't start or play in the game against Leeds.
Because he was great for Atletico Madrid when we played them last season.
But then I haven't really seen him, to be honest. I mean, let's be honest, if he was blowing the world away, we would have heard more. But
he might be either injured or has COVID. I think that's why he might not have played.
That is one of the big negatives of this season as well. There's a lot of players that
are getting COVID.
But that's what Salah was out because of COVID. He wasn't injured, but he's out. And each team will probably have to face that at some point.
Don't we know about it? They made him take about 5 different tests, didn't they?
He took 2 tests.
Yeah, so the other problem with Arsenal at the moment, which I'm sure their fans aren't great fans of, is the wingers. Willian starting quite a lot. Pepe, obviously, starting quite a lot. Neither are exactly blowing the world.
Never forget Arsenal spent 72 million on Nicolas Pepe.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays it's so hard to see big money who's going to be a success and not, because.
But the thing is, you look at it, you get Van Dijk 75 million, right? Yeah, I'd say at this point that's more than fair for money. Like considering like how much Liverpool have achieved with him. You've earned that back.
And to be fair, I mean, Van Dijk, he had did he have a season or season and a half or 2.5 seasons? Like he had plenty of Premier League experience when they bought him. But Pepe, he had one good season in the Farmers League.
Yeah, because
72 million.
Van Dijk started in Holland, then he went to Celtic. And if you actually think Celtic have had some really great players go through there that have then went to the Premier League, like Victor Wanyama went through Celtic, Fraser Foster, Henrik Larsson, obviously, but that's a bit beforehand. And then you look at, Van Dijk, who went further. And then he went to Southampton, which was also a breeding ground for Liverpool players. And although saying that, we've not signed a player from Southampton since Van Dijk.
Because they've been shit for a while because you've milked them dry.
maybe we'll buy Danny Ings back.
Yeah. Final thing on Arsenal. So how long has it been since they last scored a goal?
I think it's 8 hours.
8 hours. That is mad.
How many games is that, though? So
That's
2 games is 3 hours. 2 games is 3 hours. So 4 games is 6 hours. So you're looking at, 5 games? 6 games?
Since they last won?
Well, they haven't won in 5, have they? So...
Yeah.
They're in the Europa League starting later on. I mean, hopefully they'll beat Molde, that big Swedish team. Or are they Swedish? Norwegian. So, yeah, I mean, maybe they'll pick up there. They've won 3 out of 3.
With regards to the Arsenal game coming up tonight, and with regards to the Liverpool game last night, I want to ask you guys a question that we've seen quite a few managers complain about, and that is the scheduling. And I don't mean the number of games or the lack of break. I mean, so Klopp and Ollie and a few others have criticised when they've got the Wednesday night game and then they've got the Saturday 12:30 kickoff.
Yes, what Chelsea had last week, wasn't it?
And Lampard criticised it as well. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think they have a point? Like if they're playing Wednesday night or Thursday, if you're playing Wednesday night, you shouldn't be playing Saturday morning, or if you're playing Thursday night, you should probably get the Monday night football or the Sunday night.
If you're playing midweek, you should get the Sunday game.
Yeah. I think if you're playing Thursday, definitely you should get Sunday. If you're playing Wednesday, you shouldn't be playing in the morning on a Saturday. But at the same time, it is what it is,
But I also think if you play Tuesday, I think if you play Tuesday, then you shouldn't be playing Sunday. So, for instance, if you've got a game on Tuesday, you play Saturday.
Yeah, that's when it becomes more complicated. Then the thing is that every game's being broadcasted on TV, so you should.
But the thing is, people are going. Oh, blah, 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 they have to play 2 games in a short span of time. Imagine if they had to do 95 jobs. If you actually look at the amount of work they do per game, all the training, the dieting, on average, a player runs over 10 kilometers a game.
Yeah. Mate,
intensively. You know what I mean? It's not like they're just going to have a friendly kickabout at the field with you and your friends might do. They're playing at a high level.
Mate, tell you what, if you think they're complaining now about fixture congestion, wait till 4 weeks' time.
The Christmas fixture congestion is always disgusting.
It's going to be a very interesting period. Just
like a little quick side note there. Do you think we should have a winter break?
Didn't we have one last year?
No.
We have one in February.
Oh yeah, it was just was it just 2 weeks or a week?
2 weeks. we have 2 weeks in February, which I'm like, at that point, to me, it doesn't make much sense because at that point, the fixture congestion is kind of over.
Yeah, and I mean, there's too much money to be made around Christmas time with all the fixtures.
I don't think they'd have it in December. I think January would be a good time to have it, especially because then you've also got the transfer market then, so teams can maybe focus a bit more on that as well.
You probably do it at the last couple of weeks, mid January.
To be honest, the problem is there's just too many games, I think, for English clubs. Like
in the Bundesliga, they only have 18 teams, so there's 2 less games a season.
Yeah,
or 4 less games a season actually.
But also, like I say, I think maybe if the Premier League started a bit earlier, because I mean, it finishes in middle of May most often than not, and it doesn't start till like until recently it didn't start till like middle of August.
Plus, you've got to remember in England as well, we have 2 domestic cups. A lot of countries only have 1. We have 2. We have the EFL Cup and the FA
exactly, Cup. And then Champions League, Europa League,
that too.
Which 7 teams go into.
Yeah, I'd happily get rid of the League Cup.
But to be honest, to me, the way to solve the issue is allow more subs. Allow 5 subs. Players get more rest. You don't need to, because you don't have to change the scheduling. You just make it so more players can come off and rest.
Because I think more subs also it gives more opportunities for young players to get on the pitch.
Again, I will maintain it does benefit the bigger teams more because they've got better squad depth. But I mean, it's not like 3 subs or 5 subs is going to matter too much when Brighton go up against Liverpool or something like that, because the whole quality of like the starting team itself. Yeah, no, I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts because I saw people talking about it on Twitter and a lot of people going, "Oh, Klopp complaining again." And it's like, well, he's got a point though, and everyone agrees he's got a point.
He's got a point, but at the moment, it's just.
It's not like he's the only one. Lampard, Ollie, Ancelotti, like to name a few. Ferguson and Wenger used to complain about it.
Fergie, yeah. Again, it is what it is at the moment. To be honest, if you're on a Thursday, then no, you shouldn't be playing on the Saturday. Especially
if you're playing Wednesday night, you shouldn't be. So we've got 12:30 on Saturday morning.
Yeah, and that's
Saturday afternoon, but
yeah. So yeah,
to me, it seems like it's not even it's unfair. It's the fact that it makes needless injuries more likely to occur. Like muscle injuries, not like a player's going to get tackled and break the leg. It's like ligament tears,
fatigue,
which take longer.
Just get muscle fatigue.
Especially,
but just like tears. Like imagine you're like playing and you're fatigued and you end up tearing. Like you feel your hamstring tighten or your ACL goes. An ACL injury is a career-ending injury in football. You know,
and especially at a time where Liverpool need all the players that they could possibly get. Shall we move on to our Premier League predictions for the next round of week?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do it then. Match day 10 of 38 in the Premier League. We are starting off tomorrow night, Friday night football, and it's an absolute stormer. It's Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. Stephen, what do you reckon?
So,
players
I think it's pretty obvious it isn't going to be a high-scoring game. But I'm going to say it's going to be 1-0 to Palace. Again, Palace are not that much better than Newcastle, but on paper, you probably would say they're the better team. So I'm just going to say 1-0 to Palace. Pretty boring game.
On that note, I think the weekend's going to start off with an absolute stormer. I'm going to go Palace-Newcastle to finish 0-0.
It's a weird game to put on a Friday as the only game, isn't it?
I think it's just because they're 2 of the only teams that actually could play on Friday.
Yeah, imagine Liverpool play Friday.
Arsenal playing on Friday.
Anthony?
I've went with 2-1 to Palace. I don't think it's going to be an exciting game, but I still expect Palace to... Because Palace are a weird one. They can either score like very little goals or they end up scoring quite a few. 2-1.
I think Newcastle are going to play very much like they did against Chelsea, all behind the ball.
I'm not sure about that because I think certain teams play that way against the bigger teams and then change their style, but I don't think Newcastle to win.
I know, but I just generally don't think Newcastle have much going forward at the moment. Wilson's injured. St. Maximin's a bit hit and miss at the moment.
Yeah.
Joe Linton's a lump of lard. Brighton versus Liverpool. Anthony, come on then.
I've went 2-0 to Liverpool. I think it's just a safe kind of result. I'm not 100% confident, but I am confident Liverpool will win.
So Brighton obviously won the other week Danny Welbeck scored. He couldn't do it for me when it counted, could he? One thing life has taught me, if anything life has taught me, is that you never back the early kickoff. So I'm going for Brighton, Liverpool to be 2-2. Stephen?
Now, I backed Brighton last week. I'm not going to do it again because I'm not mad. So it's going to be 3-1 to Liverpool.
Oh, thank God. I was actually going to reach for the screen and slap
I debated you there,
that.
but no.
I'm hoping for some shithousery from Morpay or something. Manchester City versus Burnley. Surely this is the nailed-on game of the week. I'm going for 3-0 Man City. Anthony?
I went 2-0 Man City because they haven't been scoring a lot. So I'm not expecting a high scoreline.
Yeah, I think this game, I was actually really debating whether to put it as a draw. I think it's very capable that it comes out as a draw.
It could be.
But now I'm thinking about it. On paper, I did my on paper prediction is 1-0 to City, but I'm kind of thinking of going for a draw here. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to say 0-0.
Fair. It's Burnley, mate. You know.
You need to be a bit different.
You know more than anybody. Everton versus Leeds United. Stephen?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Even though Everton as well have been getting the better results, I'm going to be a bit adventurous here and say 3-2 to Leeds. Why not have a little bit of a punt?
That is adventurous.
Yeah.
Anthony?
I've went for a similar thought process. I think both teams are good going forward, but their defenses aren't brilliant. I've gone for 3-3.
Blimey.
3-3.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be goals in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking, both these teams' defences are leaky.
And Calvert-Lewin and Bamford have both been very solid up front.
Both defences are leaky, so you'd hope there's going to be goals in this game. I'm going to go for 2-2.
Yeah.
It's funny, none of us are backing Everton to win.
Yeah, I just think, Leeds are a weird team, you know. They're very hard to predict at the moment. West Brom versus Sheffield United. Anthony?
I think this is going to be a really exciting game. I think both teams are going to go out and attack and play excellent football. I'm going with 0-0.
I'm a bit more optimistic.
Seriously, I'm being sarcastic. I think both teams aren't playing brilliantly. I don't expect much from either, so no.
I'm a bit more optimistic. I still think it's going to be a draw, but I think there's going to be at least a goal apiece, so I'm going to say 1-1.
And I am going to go for a West Brom home victory. I'm going to go for West Brom to win 1-0.
That was my initial thought, but I thought,
as much as I love...
On the basis they could have got something out of the United game the other day.
As much as I love Chris Wilder, how long do you think it is until his bags are packed?
I've started to get this feeling that I'm totally fucked. You know? Everything's fucked. Everything's just completely fucked.
You have been feeling this for a while.
Who do they bring in?
Who can do a better job with that team on paper? Who can do a better job? I don't really know.
But at the rate it's going, Chris Wilder isn't doing the job, and they're bottom.
Neil Warnock's going to come back.
At this point, you might as well. I
don't mean this. Why don't you just stick with him, so when they drop down to the Championship, they can come back up. But
do what Sean Dyche did with Burnley when they got relegated, and then he brought them straight.
They stick with him, and Eddie Howe's unemployed right now.
Yeah, Eddie Howe. That'd be
a good show, actually.
Yeah. A bit gloomy for Sheffield at the moment in our predictions. This is an interesting one. Southampton versus Manchester United. Stephen?
Yeah, again, this is a pretty hard one to call. But Man United, their away form has been pretty good. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Man United, but I'm not 100% confident. But I think United can get the win here. It's not too implausible.
So Man United's away form has been better than their home form. And I am going for Southampton to win this. I am going for a bit of a shocker. I'm going for Southampton to beat Man United 3-1.
That's a bit of a shocker.
Shay Adams to score.
Shocked but not surprised.
I'm going 1-1. I think both teams have looked good some weeks, poor other weeks. I think, but like I said, both teams have had games where they've scored a lot of goals and games where they've not scored at all. So 1-1. I think they'll kind of level each other out. I think it'll be quite a dull game, actually.
Yeah, so we've all gone different results for that one. Nice. The big game on paper of the week, Chelsea versus Spurs, two teams in form. I'll go first then, shall I? This game could really go three ways at the moment. But I'm going to back Chelsea because that's what I do. I'm going to say Chelsea to win 2-1.
That's also my prediction.
Oh, Stephen, go on then, Buster.
2-1 to Chelsea. So.
2-1 Chelsea. Why?
Sorry, go on.
It's at the bridge.
It's at the bridge.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm going to go the different route. I'm going to say 2-1 to Spurs, and my reasoning is because it's Mourinho.
Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. I always look at
that's the main reason.
Mourinho.
That I was thinking Chelsea would win this one, but Mourinho's got Tottenham playing a style that it's going to be an interesting one. It might not be an exciting game, but it could be, it could not be. But I think it's going to be an interesting one.
The other thing I'm hopefully looking at is that Spurs are playing tonight. So we've had a couple more days resting them. But yeah.
True.
I don't know if that would play a massive thing though. Arsenal versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Anthony?
Despite Arsenal's poor form up front recently, I'm going 2-1 to Arsenal. I think Wolves have been a very hit and miss this season, and I think being at home will give Arsenal just enough.
I'm going to say first and say 2-1 to Wolves.
Ooh.
But to be honest, I can see either result. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think if Arsenal's goal won't be from a player, I'm going to say I think it's going to be either a penalty or from a corner or something like that.
Hail Messiah! I'm not the Messiah. Will you please listen? I am not the Messiah. Do you understand? Honestly.
Again, yeah, I'm gonna say it's not gonna. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game.
No.
I'm gonna say 1-0 to Arsenal. Don't really know why, but yeah, I just have a vibe that Arsenal are gonna beat Wolves because I don't think Wolves have been outstanding so far. Second to last game of the week, Leicester City, who didn't look great this weekend, obviously, at home to Fulham. Stephen?
Well, Fulham looked actually pretty decent against a team that plays in blue last week. So I'm going to say 4-0 to Leicester.
On that note, I've gone close, but I've backed Fulham to score one goal. I'm going 4-1 to Leicester.
To be fair to Fulham have looked okay when they're at Craven Cottage, but this is at the King Power, so
I'm expecting.
And also, Leicester will want to kind of come back from their poor performance last weekend.
So what are you going for, Anthony?
3-0 to Leicester.
Okay, we're all going high scoring boxes.
I just think because we saw it with City last season quite a bit, where they might have lost the game, and the game afterwards, especially against the side that is relegation candidates, they came out and scored quite a few goals. So I'm kind of expecting something similar.
And last game of the weekend, one that's probably going to go under the radar, but could be quite a good game. West Ham versus Aston Villa. Anthony, kick us off.
Both teams have been very good going forward, but I don't think both teams have got brilliant defences. I'm going for a draw here. I'm going for 2-2. I think, say, West Ham have, despite how many people thought they played, they're doing well. I think Aston Villa, like I say, going forward, they've got one of the most interesting attacks in the league. But I don't know who's going to come out on top. So yeah, 2-2.
On that case, I was also going to go 2-2, but now I'm going to change it to 1-0. West Ham Villa 1-0.
And I'm going to say 2-0 to West Ham. The two Czech mates, Souček and Soufal, are going to be involved in both goals. 2-0.
Okay, you're going for Villa to lose. Is that biased?
It's at West Ham are at home, which actually is a bad thing now I think about it. but no, I think Villa didn't look brilliant against Brighton, so maybe they're not going to look too good this week either. But again, I think Villa could definitely win this. It's not too implausible. I think this is going to be a close game. So, but I don't know. I just have that feeling that West Ham are going to win. Yeah. So just a
close game, and the
when I get that feeling
of this week's podcast. Lovely sung up by Anne. So thank you for listening, watching, viewing the latest Off the Woodwork podcast. I am Matt Perry. I'm joined by Stephen Hall, and singing us out on the show this week, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anthony Milne.
No.
I just thought because you were going for it just then, so I just kind of
No.
No. Okay, just Anthony Milne. Thank you for reading. See you next time.